talk was basically 2 weeks after my wife was due with our second baby, who we then found out was a son. So there was this.
Good afternoon, everybody, and happy Friday on this December 19th, 2025. I've got all your news for your rush hour ride home. Today, we're covering the Blake Lively settlement talks. Does this mean Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni are close to resolving their dispute? Not exactly, but the judge has ordered that they at least meet for these discussions. I'll get into the details shortly. We'll also cover the Epstein files, which were supposed to be released today, though it looks like that won't be happening. Plus, updates on the Brown University shooter, whose location was discovered thanks to Reddit, and some news on Rob Reiner and his wife's tragic passing. There's a lot to go through, so let's get started. First, let's dive into Blake Lively. By the way, I'll be doing a live stream tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central Time to share some of the gifts I've received. Just a little Christmas-themed stream, so stay tuned for that and hit the alert bell. Now, regarding Blake Lively versus Wayfair, based on the video conference held Monday, December 15th, the court has issued the following orders. A counsel-only conference with counsel for the plaintiff to discuss settlement is scheduled for Friday, January 23rd at 10 a.m., and a counsel-only conference with counsel for the defendant is set for the same day at 11 o'clock a.m. So, it seems they won't be speaking directly to each other, just through their attorneys or the court. If anyone thinks this means they're moving closer to a settlement, I'm not convinced. Where is the scenario where Baldoni would want to settle? He has Lively on the ropes. As the plaintiff, she must prove harassment occurred. So far, the allegations have been minimal, like saying he yelled on set, which doesn't look strong. For Blake to settle, she'd have to acknowledge that she felt harassed but ultimately agreed to resolve it. And Baldoni would have to accept that, which doesn't seem likely at this point. That's your update on the settlement talks. There's more Blake Lively news. Brandon Sleena recently discussed online hate amid the ongoing legal battle between Lively and Baldoni. While some headlines make it sound scandalous, the original article focused on Sleena being caught between Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried. He's a happily married man, but hypothetically he joked about being stuck in that situation, like on a deserted island. More seriously, Sleena explained that he's often mischaracterized online and carried that frustration into his next project, which gave him true acting joy for the first time. That project was It Ends With Us, which, despite his personal joy, was overshadowed by the legal battle between Lively and Baldoni. Sleena mentioned a big learning curve for him because, even though he had a small role, his visibility skyrocketed. Yet, his decision to unfollow Baldoni online raised some eyebrows. If you find joy, why disconnect from someone professionally? His reflections give insight into the personal side of navigating public scrutiny amid a high-profile legal dispute. During the press tour, Brandon Sleena posted on Instagram urging fans to be kinder. He wasn't condemning anyone. He just wanted people to focus on the message of the movie instead of being hateful. Unfortunately, the response was immediate and intense. He received messages like, "You're a piece of I hope you die," and "I hope your career ends." His agent, who had guided another famous client through a similar situation, advised him to stay offline. But Sleena explained the temptation. Imagine walking down a hallway and hearing the voices of 100,000 people commenting about you. Wouldn't you want to put your ear to the door? That itch to check, he said, is understandable. Still, he acknowledged that as an actor, your career isn't built on angry online commenters. They don't pay to see your work or keep your career afloat. For content creators like him, responding can sometimes turn negativity into content. But that strategy doesn't work for everyone, which is why many actors avoid engaging in online arguments altogether. The real controversy arose over whether Sleena's online activity was personal or if he was responding at Blake Lively's request. The post that triggered backlash involved sharing a New York Times complaint. Sleena urged people to read it, sharing the link and tagging Blake Lively with a heart. The timing was notable. This was the original complaint from a year ago. Later, when Sleena landed a role between Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried, some suspected his connection to Lively helped him secure it. This perception, combined with his public support for Lively, lead some actors and fans to unfollow Baldoni. Within the industry, despite public visibility, insiders claim the Lively Baldoni circle is toxic and difficult to work with. The broader point is that while Sleena left this information out in the open, it stirred complex reactions. Fans and industry insiders alike were reacting to both his personal choices and the perception of how connections and favoritism can influence opportunities. It's a mix of career strategy, social media pressures, and navigating public scrutiny in Hollywood, all of which can make even a simple post spark controversy. When Baldoni revealed his side of the story, Brandon Sleena didn't urge fans to consider it. Even though he had strongly encouraged them to read Blake Lively's side, Sleena had previously shared the New York Times complaint, tagging Lively with a heart and urging for the love of God read this. Yet when Baldoni refuted all claims, Sleena didn't make a similar post highlighting his perspective. This imbalance explains why he faced backlash, including death threats, which were often misdirected. Fans were upset about the way he framed the narrative rather than the facts themselves. Shifting gears, Taylor Swift made headlines with one of her former dragons, Kessie, featured in her latest documentary. The docuseries has captivated audiences, including those who aren't diehard Swift fans. The first 2 episodes dropped last Friday, with the next 2 released this Friday, offering an intimate look at her career and personal life. One highlight is the story of how Swift's mother played matchmaker between her and Travis Kelce in the documentary. Swift recounts how Kelce attempted to meet her at a Kansas City show. He described his experience as a local celebrity attempting to meet a global superstar, only to find that connecting with Taylor Swift isn't so simple. Beyond the romance story, the series emphasizes Swift's massive influence. She's donated over $150 million to her tour crew and talent, converted locker rooms into green rooms for her performances, and consistently sells out stadiums, sometimes surpassing NFL football venues in attendance. Her ability to generate revenue in cities and states she performs in is staggering, showcasing her impact on local economies. While there's debate about the ethics of billionaire wealth, Swift's fortune is earned through talent and fan support rather than market exploitation, making her success a unique case. From the glitz of Taylor Swift to the tragedy of Rob Reiner's family, Nick Reiner's story takes a darker turn. Rob Reiner publicly defended his son Nick, who has long struggled with expectations and identity within a famous family. Recently, Nick Reiner has been charged with the brutal stabbing of his parents, a case that has drawn intense media scrutiny. While the legal process is ongoing and he is presumed innocent until proven guilty, the public conversation around him has been harsh. He has faced judgment as a spoiled rich kid, a label that fails to consider the complexities of growing up in a high-profile family. Rob Reiner has spoken candidly about the challenges his son faces, emphasizing that while the public may judge, personal and familial experiences are far more nuanced. Being born into privilege can be a curse in many ways. Reflecting on this, some parents who grew up lower to middle class, like myself and my wife, focus on teaching our children the value of hard work. In celebrity families, however, that's far more complicated. You might have name recognition and connections that give your child a head start, but that can come with extraordinary pressures. Rob Reiner's son Nick faced a perfect storm: mental health struggles, schizophrenia, drug addiction, and the intense scrutiny of being part of a famous family, which compounded the challenges of growing up privileged. Public assumptions often ignore these complexities, and judging someone solely based on wealth or fame strips away their humanity. Rob Reiner has been praised for balancing both protection and guidance for his son. Despite the tragic outcome of Nick's actions, legal commentators, including Nancy Grace, have even suggested this is a potential death penalty case, though the prosecutor has hedged on whether they will pursue it. Ultimately, such decisions rest with a jury. Personally, I'm torn on the death penalty. It feels archaic. Couldn't there be alternative, productive ways to serve justice rather than simply ending a life? Switching to lighter but still headline-grabbing news, the Brown University shooter case recently concluded tragically. The suspect, Claudio Neves Valenti, used untraceable phones and financial methods to hide his tracks, making it difficult for authorities to locate him. On the evening of the manhunt, federal agents in Salem, New Hampshire, breached a storage locker to search for him. Eventually, Valenti was found dead, having taken his own life. Interestingly, Reddit played a key role in cracking the case. An anonymous tip 3 days after the shooting directed police to a Reddit post that identified a gray Nissan with Florida plates parked near the Rhode Island Historical Society, which helped authorities narrow down the suspect. This case highlighted the modern dynamics of crimes, where public tips and online communities can contribute significantly to investigations. According to the affidavit, police reviewed surveillance footage and located a gray-blue Nissan sedan, a key lead in identifying the suspect, Claudio Neves Valenti. He was also linked to the murder of an MIT professor, which occurred days after the Brown University shooting. On December 17th, police interviewed the person behind the crucial Reddit tip. During a voluntary interview, the individual described an eerie encounter with Valenti on the day of the shooting, noting his shabby clothing that seemed inappropriate for the weather. The tipster followed Valenti to his car, a gray sedan, describing the interaction as a tense game of cat and mouse. At one point, he even confronted Valenti about why he appeared to be circling the block. This was their final encounter before the shooting. For this anonymous Reddit poster, it must feel surreal, though 2 innocent lives were tragically lost. His information had helped law enforcement track Valenti, who ultimately took his own life. Turning to another major story. Today was supposed to be the release day for the Epstein Files, a highly anticipated event that has captivated public attention. Yet, the Department of Justice will miss the deadline, creating tension with a law President Trump signed in November mandating the release. According to multiple sources, hundreds of federal agents scoured the Epstein files searching for mentions of Donald Trump, while there are reportedly photos and possible evidence of Trump on Epstein's plane or even at Epstein Island. No definitive smoking gun linking Trump to criminal activity has emerged. The bigger question may be whether any discrepancies could expose a lie. The situation highlights both the intrigue surrounding the files and the political stakes tied to their delayed release. In a separate note on public priorities, Journalist Sam Stein pointed out a striking contrast in efficiency. Weeks or months are required to prepare the Epstein files for release, yet significant work like modifying the Kennedy Center facade can be done in hours. The John F. Kennedy Memorial Center has reportedly been rebranded as the Donald Trump John F. Kennedy Memorial Center, a change made without public vote or discussion. The renaming raises questions about priorities and decision-making in public projects, highlighting how symbolic gestures can sometimes overshadow pressing legal or social matters. It's almost comical some of the moves in government feel downright illegal. For example, rebranding the Kennedy Center as the Donald Trump John F. Kennedy Memorial Center without public input seems absurd. None of this affects everyday life like avocado prices. Which brings us to the latest economic news. Inflation is reportedly down. Sounds good, right? But can anyone really trust the numbers anymore? The person in charge of job reports was fired when the data didn't align with expectations. And there are talks of changing how GDP is measured. Economists are skeptical, noting flaws in the data collection and describing the latest report as noisy, making it hard to draw firm conclusions. Meanwhile, the stock market celebrated, but bond markets and analysts questioned the validity. Essentially, we can't fully rely on government statistics, so people are left to gauge the economy themselves. Your Christmas shopping may provide a more accurate